Welcome to on tonight's Clubhouse Live. The General returns as we welcome back Packers great John Kuhn to our Legends Edition show. What went wrong in Philly? We'll get Kuhn's thoughts on the Packers' disappointing playoff loss to the Eagles. And what can we expect from the Packers in 2025? Well, we'll get Kuhn's thoughts on what's likely to go down in the offseason. Plus, we're going to announce all the details for our upcoming season-ending prize giveaway extravaganza edition. So stay tuned for that. It's time to get started. Hey, John Kuhn, come on in.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good Monday evening. We're back at it. Welcome to the Fox Club. We're hanging out inside Neuroscience Group Field at Fox City Stadium. Beautiful and frigid Grand Chute, Wisconsin. I'm Brett Christopherson with USA Today Network Wisconsin and the Post Crescent. There's some good energy tonight. How's everybody feeling tonight? Let's hear you. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay? It's okay, everybody. It was sunny. The sky's not falling. The sun was out. The birds were singing. Well, the birds weren't singing on a frigid day, were they? But anyway, everything is okay. A lot to get to. A great guest here on tap. But first things first, as we always do, we want to thank our high fivers. They are members of our high school team of the week. Give it up to the Hortonville Polar Bears boys basketball team. They're here tonight. There they are. The Polar Bears having a great season. And we will get to know the guys. The guys are going to be kind of a big part of the show here as we get through it. But thanks to Hortonville for hanging out with us tonight. And let's get started. We have to talk about it. Eagles 22, Packers 10, right? Ooh, yeah, that's a boo, not a coon, but a boo. But the Packers' playoff run came to a screeching halt over in Philly as Green Bay fell to the Eagles in an NFC wildcard playoff showdown on Sunday. Too many mistakes, too many penalties, too many turnovers. An offense that continued to spin its wheels. The inability to get off to a fast start. It's kind of, we heard this, right? It's kind of the familiar script for the green and gold, which now heads into an offseason seeking some reinforcements for a young roster that has a good foundation in place to compete again for the playoffs. So Mad Vince here tonight because the Packers lost. The season's over, but one of his all-time favorite guys turns into Happy Vince when he's sitting right over there. Look at it's the General is here. How about Green Bay Packers great John Kuhn? That's going to be our guest tonight. Vince can't stay mad too long when the General is here. General's going to kind of get us back into shape. So let me thank our presenting sponsors first. We have Cellcom and Local IQ. Keep more dollars in your pocket when you join Cellcom for a limited time. Save $360 on select plans. When you keep your current phone, visit Cellcom.com for details. And with over 20 years of digital marketing expertise, Local IQ delivers results through cutting-edge innovation, now featuring AI-powered solutions to help you attract, convert, and retain more customers with their award-winning technology. All right, let's get this over and done with, right? It's the other member of our Clubhouse Live crew, I should say. I have to introduce him because it's in the contract. It is Chicago Bears fan, and I love to see the General. He knows what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ricardo Arguello, everybody.
Wow, I just got hit with an audio wave here from Kuhn giving me the boost. How you doing, Brett? How's everybody doing? Oh, my.
They're not saying Kuhn
No, they're
time,
not.
Right? What do you have to say for yourself? Huh?
I don't have anything to say. I'm just, I'm enjoying the night.
What did John do when he went past you? Did he give you a little
No,
forearm shiver?
We shook hands, but there was
huh?
a death stare in his eyes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's tough. We all know what happened yesterday. It was a tough loss,
well,
but successful season, right?
At least they were in the playoffs more than your team could
yes,
say, right?
You're right, Brett. You have a more sophisticated losing. You don't lose in the regular season.
By the way, has your team found a coach yet for the ninth time this decade, right?
Brett, I think I'm in line to get interviewed as well because they're interviewing everybody. And as you may have heard, Mike McCarthy.
Stenovich is getting an interview too.
Mike McCarthy.
You want Mike McCarthy?
I wouldn't hate it.
Well, maybe we'll ask John Kuhn.
Maybe I can ask John about that. Listen, I know he probably tested everyone's patience, but I thought he had a pretty good career here in Green Bay. I don't know. We'll
If
see.
Mike McCarthy's a smart man, and I know he is, he'll stay away from that franchise like it's the plague, right? Because that's where coaches go to die. So, Ricardo, enough about your Bears. This is an interactive show as always. How does it work?
We invite your comments and questions through that live chat, Brett. I'm going to click on it right now, but I know it's always active because I'm always checking out everybody's on board here saying hi. Any of those comments or questions that they have, I'll get those over to both you and John right away.
Let's do it on Twitter at PCBretzi, at Ricardo De Leon, at KoonJ30, and then please give us a like on Facebook, either Packers News or Clubhouse Live. You can find some great information on both of those Facebook pages as well. Hey, General, we got the Vikings welcome ad out because the Vikings are playing tonight, right? They're playing the Rams. We want to see the Vikings go down in flaming glory tonight, right? We want to see them get thumped tonight. So we want you to stomp your feet all over the ugliest logo in sports. Tonight's guest, folks, spent 13 seasons, right, in the NFL as a tough and hard-nosed fullback, and he could do it all, right? He could run, he could catch, he could block, he could score touchdowns. He was an all-pro and a Pro Bowler, right, everybody? He spent 9 of those seasons as a member of the Green Bay Packers. He earned 2 Super Bowl rings, including 1 with the 2010 Green Bay Packers. He put together an incredibly productive career, one in which he was named to the Pro Bowl 3 times and was an All-Pro twice. Our guest tonight was at one time rated among the top 100 NFL players by NFL Network. Do you remember that for the General? He is the co-owner of an athlete training facility, actually 2 of them, Appleton and Green Bay area. We're going to talk about that. He continues to be involved with the Packers radio and TV networks. He is the pride of Dover High School and Shippensburg University, and he is one of the greatest co-hosts in Clubhouse Live history. No doubt about it. How about a big Clubhouse Live welcome for Green Bay Packers All-Pro, Pro Bowl fullback, the General. It's John Kuhn. Man, oh man, when we got John, I was so giddy. I was so excited. It's like a reunion show. John Kuhn, it's so good to have you here. How you doing?
Fantastic. And it does. I like, we did one last year.
We did, right away in the beginning of the season, yeah.
I love the threads in here. This place is amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always love the Paper Valley, but this is great.
Not bad, huh?
I mean, this is coming on up, and
we're growing up, John.
How many? It's been like 10 years since I was the host, right?
2013 and 2014, you took over for Tom Crabtree, the Puma.
The Puma, yeah.
Then you were the General, right?
It's amazing how this thing has grown in 10 years. It's almost like my oldest daughter, who will be turning 10.
Was that right?
Year.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Yeah. Boy, time flies, right?
Like that.
We get a little gray in the beard, a little wisdom now, you and I.
All because of kids, right? It's because it happens.
Among other things, right? When just age, period. So, well, it's good to have you here. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It's a therapy show. We need a
We've
therapy
done this
session.
before, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done this.
2013, there was a lot of therapy in 2013.
2014 at the end of that season.
Yeah, but 2013, remember Aaron got hurt, and we had to tell people every week, it's another loss, but we're still in it.
We got through it. And you got the playoffs bid anyway, right? We'll talk about that. But, first of all, I'm always confused. Is it 13 seasons for you or 12 seasons? Because Pro Football Reference has you as 12 years, but you were also a member of the Steelers in 2005, so doesn't it make it a 13-year NFL career?
Yeah, it's 13. Yeah. You've had practice squad guys on this show, haven't you?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, they count, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're a part of the team. In fact, practice squad guys now are more a part of the team than they've ever been. Practice squad guys now get elevated. They're on a practice squad. Rosters are not what they used to be. 53 guys, 45 dressing. Now you kite about 75 players throughout the course of a season, sometimes even more. The Detroit Lions are going to have, when they're all said and done, about 90 guys on their roster because they've had so many on IR. We had a similar situation in 2010, if you remember, with all of our injuries. But that's the way it works right now. So I consider practice squad right there.
So 13 years for you, a great career, 9 with the Packers, 2 Super Bowl rings. We're going to take a trip down memory lane in the next segment. I think you're going to enjoy it. But first things first.
What's my surprise tonight?
Was I supposed to have a surprise?
Well, there's always something hiding under the desk or somewhere or somebody in the crowd that I'm supposed to be. I've been looking for it since I walked in.
Give me some time, and I'll think of something.
As long as there's not a trombone under here.
A tuba, yeah. We were Jarrett Bush. Yeah, that's right. Some good memories. But I want to know if you'd have a message for Chicago Bears fan Ricardo Arguello, right? Because he's talking smug, he's talking smack. Because
smug.
Because he thinks that the Bears every offseason, oh wow, we win the offseason, right? We're gonna have a great season. And then of course it's 4-13, 5-12, and they fire their coach.
Yeah, it's amazing. It truly is amazing how high on the horse these guys are.
Yeah.
Winning their first game against the Packers since 2018.
I know.
We were talking about, I was the co-host the last time the Bears beat the Packers.
It's been a long time.
So you should be celebrating. No, here's the deal. Tough division record for Matt LaFleur and the Packers this year. Really took care of business with just about everybody else. But it's the division. When you think we were a fingertip of Carl Brooks' super long, gangly finger away from being 0-6 in the division, that's a scary proposition. Got to get that corrected next year for this Packers team. The Bears look like they could potentially, and I say potentially,
with Mike McCarthy,
be on the come up. Hey, listen, here's the deal. I think Mike probably doesn't want to take that job. I don't know. I don't think you'd want to. Who wants to take the job where you look at a Lions team that looks very formidable, a Vikings team that looks very formidable, the Packers who are historically always in it. Since 2000, that game we saw this weekend, the Eagles and Packers have been in the playoffs more than any other NFC teams. So, you're talking about franchises with stability,
right,
with history, with a lot of success. You're going to go to the one team in that division that hasn't had that. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for anybody to say. However,
he's a competitor.
Money walks.
And that too.
Money walks, and we'll see what kind of contract they put together for him, because he's going to interview there. He's going to interview in New Orleans, and maybe another team out there will come sniffing around. But I think, I think most people around the NFL hold Coach Mike in really, really high regard. And when you talk about a coach that's coached not just in Green Bay, but in Dallas, and now he's being looked at in Chicago, three of the most storied franchises in all of the NFL, that speaks volumes for the type of respect you have around league circles.
Yeah, and he's only 61, so there's he's got a lot of years left. There's plenty of fire in that belly for Mike McCarthy.
You guys, he's not my first choice, but to me, I think that if you're a former
who's
Packer,
your first choice, Ricardo?
I think, I'm kind of joining the masses, I guess, Ben Johnson.
How many votes do you get in this, this whole thing?
None. But I'd like to say, though, wouldn't you think that Coach McCarthy having a chance to play Green Bay twice a year, that's not a motivator too? I would I'm just asking.
Well, I know the two teams that are talking to him right now. It's Chicago, it's New Orleans. He's going to get interviews at both. You look at New Orleans and you say you're in the NFC South. If there's a place you could ever go into and potentially reap some sort of success very quickly, it's in a division like that.
That's
with
true.
Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa Bay won that thing this year. I'd be looking at that opportunity a lot more so than this opportunity here in the North, where you got to take on three giants that just won 11 plus games within the division.
So you're saying it's got to be this? Is that
All
that
right.
changes his mind? Okay,
All
I
right,
got you.
John, ignore him. Enough about the Bears. All right, this is a Packers show.
Well, it was about Mike. We were talking about Mike.
It was about Mike.
We were
but
talking
we don't
about
want
Mike.
him to be.
Quick poll
Yes.
here. How does everybody feel? Can we get a clap meter on how we feel about Mike McCarthy?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe like him, love him. Cool. See?
Well, you know what?
I love that. That's great. That's great.
We're going to talk about that later on in the show when we take a trip down memory lane. I have something to show you with Mike McCarthy, right? But what I want to show you
Is it that old picture when he was steaming red and he was jumping up and down and his headset was flying?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
You gave that to me on here one time. Yeah.
You still have that?
I do.
Why don't you invite me over ever? Why aren't we hanging out more? Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
That's a good question.
Take the
That
hint, Brett.
changes now. You and I are going to do something
Okay.
tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
All right. So
Date night.
in the meantime, Rosie, can you put the picture of John Kuhn with ETS Performance? There you are. Look at there. You are a couple buddies. Are you still involved with ETS?
Oh, absolutely.
Appleton and Green Bay facilities.
Yeah,
hey, we
we
got
are.
some high school basketball players here. You kind of cater to those guys, right?
We felt when I was living here, which I still do, but I moved here in 2007, and then my wife and I got married, and we needed to, pick a place and where are you gonna be full term. We decided no better place than Wisconsin and Green Bay to be full time. Before you get married, you're flying back and forth all the time, and it's kind of crazy. But we wanted to have kids, so we decided to stay here. And when we did, we noticed if I wanted to get some serious training, there was only one place to go. I had to go to the Packers Stadium. And I thought to myself, this might be tough when some kids that are looking to go to college and get some serious training when they're home. Some kids that are in high school might want to take it to the next level. Maybe they want to go Division I, but they need to grow a little bit. They need to get that proper training. And I just happened to meet a guy when I was down in New Orleans who did this type of thing. And he's actually, ironically, from Door County, but started building these facilities out in Minnesota. And through talking with him, it was very similar to the type of workout I did coming out of college, getting ready for the combine. And I just thought how interesting this was and how much I bought into it because I had done it. So I was going to try and bring it to Northeast Wisconsin. So we have one in Appleton, we have one in Green Bay, one in Menominee Falls. Just signed a deal with FC Elite here out of Appleton, Neenah area. So I'm going to open one in Sheboygan here within the next calendar year. And then, see how big we can get.
Oh, fantastic. ETS Performance, Hortonville guys, right? Check it out, right? This guy right here can get you into the professional ranks. That's his guarantee right there.
Easy.
Right?
I don't know if we're legally allowed to say that. Anything, any
Surprise.
can fall.
That's your surprise right there. Right? That's your surprise right there. So, well, I tell you what, let's do this. We're going to touch on the Packers and Eagles and their seasons, the Packers season over on here a little bit. But, we work so hard to get to the postseason, and then it ends like that, right? I mean, the season just comes to just a thud. What is that like? Because you've experienced that sometimes.
Yeah.
What does that feeling like, and how hard is it to get over it? How do you get over that finality when you've been since July, right? Even before that with OTAs, and it's a long grind.
It's funny, Brad. I was in at the facility today. I had to talk with Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney and do a reflection piece with them on their seasons. And we were not ready for it to be truly on the whole season. We thought it was just going to be of the regular season, and we'd be getting ready for a second round here in the playoffs. And I had asked them both, because you have a time scheduled, and then kind of the schedules get mixed up because you don't prepare for a loss. So they had meetings with the team, they had meetings with their offense, defense, then their individual coaches, and then the head coach, and special teams, and just all the bouncing back and forth, and coming to the conclusion that, man, this is done. And I asked them, I said, you good? And they said, yeah, we're good, but it never changes. It never changes the fact that only one team in the NFL gets to finish the season the way they want. Nobody else does. Out of the 31 other teams, and there will be more, coming next week, there's going to be another 4 more, and coming after that, there's going to be 2 more, and then after that, there's going to be one with the ultimate heartbreak. Everybody finishes the season abruptly and not the way they want it, except for one team. There's one team that gets to celebrate at the end with confetti and a trophy and a parade. And unfortunately, the Packers will not be that one team this year. And when that realization hits you, it can be one of those kind of in-your-face moments. But I think we got the group that can recover from it, and I think we got the group that can come back next year better for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting playoff experience these last 2 years as well. 3 games now. When you think 2 games last year, 1 game this year, so they've got that taste. They know what it's like to win in the postseason, and they know what it's like to try to shake off a tough loss.
You know what's even more important than that? They know what it takes to win in the playoffs, because not what you do in the playoffs, what you do at the end of the regular season. I think this team learned a valuable lesson this year. It's not just making the playoffs, it's how you are playing when you go into the playoffs. Those last 2 regular season games, that's not what the Packers wanted. That's not what the Packers had as an identity throughout the course of the regular season. And it just felt like it hung over into the first half of this game with Philadelphia. I think these guys are going to look at that. I think they're going to tell, man, just because we were in the playoffs, that's not enough. You got to finish the regular season the right way. And when you do, you look back to what they achieved last year, a 7 seed against a 2 seed, versus this year, same situation.
Like you did in 2010. Got hot, took it all the way to the Super Bowl championship. So what was your toughest playoff loss that you had to deal with? There were some tough ones in Green Bay. You had the ultimate win.
I'm so incredibly lucky that I've been a part of 2 Super Bowl championships. a couple parades, Super Bowl rings, because I seem to think I have the worst playoff luck in the world. I lost in 2014 in the NFC Championship game, the onside kick game. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. The Minneapolis Miracle. People forget that. I was a part of that as a New Orleans Saint.
You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, that was as bad, if not worse, than the NFC Championship game. Because all you have to do is take a guy down inbounds, and he catches a ball and 2 missed tackles and runs in the end zone with no time left. You're talking about not even a Hail Mary, just a play that just gets wonky. That one was terrible. 2 times losing in overtime to Arizona, where they were just terrific football games. And then on the last play of the game here to Robbie Gould and the 49ers, when we thought we exacted revenge in 2013 after 2012. So, man, you want me to pick out of that batch of games?
Maybe that was bad. Maybe that was a bad question. I don't know.
That was
conjuring up some bad memories. Seems like that onside kick one, though. You guys had that one.
The onside kick one, that will always
tough.
be the worst. And yeah, it's that.
Because you had a great team. That 2014 team was sensational. So, well, let's do this. We got to talk about a little bit the season now. And Rosie, can you put up the Clubhouse Live GIF of the night? What do we have up there? Yep, there he is, Jordan Love. That's what all Packer fans were doing, right? Putting their hands over their head and just kind of, they got a bad headache, frustration. They all felt like the quarterback. So. What was the biggest factor in the loss? Well, I mean, there was mistakes, there was a slow starts, undisciplined, an offense that couldn't get going. Maybe it was just all of the above.
Yeah, it was all the above. I would specifically point out the offense because, listen, horrible beginning. I mean, you can say whether Keyshawn recovered the fumble back or not, but that's tough. Yeah, they get the ball on your 20-yard line, they score a touchdown. Offensively, you got to put a drive together, and we just didn't put a drive together for the majority of this first half. And now you're starting to really look at these teams that go into the playoffs for Matt LaFleur. And yesterday, I felt like the offense. I mean, the defense I thought played good enough to win. Yes, they had those 2 undisciplined penalties, one by Keyshawn, one by T.J. Slayton. Yep. Those hurt, especially after this was a week that the NFL sent out a memo to each team saying, hey, we're gonna officiate a little harder in the playoffs, taunting penalties, unnecessary roughness penalties. We're gonna be all over this. They gave the warning. They put the flare up in the air, so definitely shouldn't have gotten those. But I felt the defense played good enough to win a football game, and I felt going into Philadelphia, we were gonna have to play a really good game, and Philly was gonna have to be complicit a little bit. That team's a wagon. They got a lot of really great players there. And last night, they were somewhat complicit. Jalen Hurts was not on. They were not striking on all cylinders. Yeah, Saquon got over 100 yards at the end of the game. Did you really expect to stop him? No. This was kind of like Michael Jordan. You just want to contain him. So I thought the defense played good enough to win. I felt like the offense didn't. Now you're looking, okay, you got this year. You got the fourth quarter last year with San Francisco where the offense fell apart, had 2 turnovers. Start looking back to that San Francisco playoff game in 2022. And even Tampa Bay, when the offense couldn't get anything going, but the defense forced Tom Brady into 3 interceptions, and you're starting to wonder what's going on with the offense that's so high flying during the year, but we're hitting the playoffs, and it seems to be in a little bit of a slowdown.
Were the expectations too high, you think, for this team? Because everybody was so gung-ho after that hot finish last year. Then you beat Dallas, right? Almost beat San Francisco. Love was sensational down the stretch, other than the San Francisco game where he had a couple picks at the end, but. Were they unrealistic as we look back, or not?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I think when you start, and I'm going to tell you the same thing I would say if this was August 30th and we were just about to start the season. There's about a dozen teams in the NFL that have a realistic shot at a Super Bowl. The Packers are one of them. The Packers were one of them. And the San Francisco 49ers were too. They didn't even make the playoffs. They had a boatload of injuries. When you start looking at the way the Packers were playing at the end of the year, and some of that was because of injuries, I still think that Jordan Love injury in week 1, coming back several weeks later, getting a groin injury within another 2 weeks of starting, he didn't really start playing consistent starting football until the second half of the season after the bye. It takes a while to get into a rhythm, especially when you don't play people in the preseason the way you used to. So I think the Packers were a little bit of victim of the slow start out of Jordan Love, getting into the season, and then by the end of the season, they had some other injuries. The Christian Watson injury, the Jair Alexander injury, the way that thing fell apart there for him, specifically Jair, it's a little bit head-scratching, but at the same time, they're guys that you count on. Philadelphia went into that football game last night with 22 out of 22 preferred starters healthy and active.
That makes a difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you talk about the offense, obviously the passing game primarily is the struggle right now because Josh Jacobs was sensational, right? Top 5 back in the league, 15 rushing touchdowns, I want to say. 8 straight games in which he scored a rushing touchdown to break Paul Horning's all-time record. Do you think maybe it was too reliant on Jacobs to the detriment of the passing game?
No, I think that was out of necessity.
Okay.
Actually, I think the run game, this is me, I think kind of an undesired consequence of Jordan Love going down early in the season is that they figured out they have this really good offensive line at being able to run block. I mean, they figured that out against the Colts, the Titans, again against the Jaguar. I mean, all the way through the season. Then you get to the second half, and you're like, let's lean on some of that stuff we did earlier in the season when Jordan Love wasn't playing. And because of that, they had the ability to run. I mean, Josh Jacobs yesterday, that offensive line yesterday in the run game, without Elton Jenkins, they were pretty sensational. I mean, they were doing their thing. I do think the passing game, and again, I think you only get consistent. You only get good through repetition. It takes time, and not just in games, but in practices. And Jordan Love's injury inhibited that early in the season with the wide receivers. Then you get a Romeo Doubs concussion that cost him about 3 games. Christian Watson here at the end of the season. I think the lack of being able to get reps over time throughout the course of the season hurt with their continuity going into the playoffs.
So what do you say to the folks out there that are kind of a little nervous now about Jordan Love? Because you touched on injuries, right? But he didn't take that step that everybody was expecting. But sky's still the limit for this guy? I mean, you still like his talent, right? I mean, he's got a big arm.
Listen, I love everything about Jordan Love. I really do. He is even keel, and I don't think people are used to even keel around here. I mean,
No.
Brett Favre sure wasn't even keel.
You know that.
I mean, I'm saying 5 years ago we had body language police telling us every game he shouldn't look at the wideouts that way. And why is he giving his coach the stink eye? And now we have a guy who his blood pressure never gets up, his heart rate never goes up, and it's like now he's too calm for us, and it's just one of those things.
Nobody's ever happy.
As fans, it's hard to be. It's hard to be. You know why? Because you don't like to fall short of that Super Bowl. I still think Jordan Love had a very successful season this year. It wasn't the best. It was marred with some injuries. But Goody will get him some help. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that Brian Gutekunst, he's done just a masterful job of flipping this roster, flipping it quickly, and flipping it with some serious talent.
So the offseason, that's a good segue. What needs to happen, right? Some wide receiver help. I mean, it doesn't look like he's probably going to miss a lot of next season as well. You don't know about Romeo Doubs now.
I'd be concerned about Romeo Doubs. Number one, obviously the concussion in this last game, wearing a Guardian cap after the scare that he had earlier in the season. You got to wonder there, and you got to protect against, putting him in danger. I mean, obviously he's going to want to go out and play, but you got to take care of the athlete. Christian, he's going to miss a large portion of the season. That's your 1-2, right? Those two guys allow Jayden Reed to be as effective as he is. If not for them, all the attention can fall in on Jayden Reed. So I think a wide receiver is at play, whether it's a free agent wide receiver because the Packers are going to have cap space, or drafting a wide receiver, which has traditionally been the Packers' MO. And then I think you got to look at who covers the wide receivers and start saying, hey, we're going to need to replace a guy who has not played in the majority of games the last couple seasons, even when he's at his best. It's great to have him, but if you can't count on him, how far can you really go? So I think you're going to have to revamp there, and you might have to do it with a couple players. And you saw the way that he attacked the safety position and the inside linebacker position this year. He didn't just throw one dart at the board. He threw many darts at the board. I would not be surprised if you see multiple wide receivers and cornerbacks coming to this football team.
Yeah, free agency and the draft, even a pass rusher as well. One more thing, Ricardo, on this audience question time, but something interesting, too, that I thought Josh Jacobs, after the game yesterday, said he's going to kind of be a recruiter, right? He said he's going to start looking for guys and trying to...
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, we don't understand, well, I do, but most people don't understand just how incredible it is to play in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I'm not just talking about Lambeau having that historic, amazing feeling when you walk through the tunnel. I'm not just talking about the fans selling out every single game and not having to worry about that. I'm talking about distractions. There are none. talk about a team that there really isn't. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. People look at it as potentially a bad thing, and there might be some guys that want to go to different cities because of, the glitz and the glamour. Real pros, they want to come here because they know there's nothing to do but my craft. And if I'm going to build a legacy, no better place to build a legacy than here with all the attention being around this. And then you get a team that, because we don't have an owner, we continually invest in our players. We invest around the facilities. We invest in the community. I mean, guys love it. Josh Jacobs is coming from the Raiders, and he is looking at this saying, the rest of the people that don't get the experiences, there's only a handful of teams around the league, I could probably name them for you right now, that the players really get the advantages that you get here. And when you're drafted here, you might think it's like this everywhere. It's not. And the guys that haven't started here but come here, they realize it, and they'll go out there and sing to the mountaintops to get other players to come.
John, you sure they want to be here on a day like today, though? I mean, it's zero. It's like minus 30 wind chill. Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
So we bring in 2 free agents, and they just ironically happen to be guys who played at Alabama on a national championship team under a guy like Nick Saban, and they both happen to go really high in the draft because of that. And one goes to New York and sees the way that it's ran in the Giants, and the other goes to Vegas and sees the way that it's ran with the Raiders. And they both adamantly told me, yeah, we're in no hurry to get out of here. The season ended today. They're not flying out tomorrow. They're not flying out on Friday. They're going to take their time, rehab here, work out here. I got Xavier McKinney. So where is home base? Over in De Pere. No, I mean the home base over in De Pere. I was surprised by that, but I was pleasantly, surprised, because that tells me these 2 guys are pros, and there's no, I shouldn't be surprised they're pros. They're coming from Alabama, and now we got them here, and we can make that a new identity here on this team.
Next time you talk to Josh and Xavier, tell me we would like to have them on the show, all right?
Well, aren't you coming? You're coming to hang out, right? So
yeah,
when you come,
I could talk to them tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I see. Maybe we can set something up.
Can you arrange something? That'd be great. So, we've arranged some audience questions, though, for you. Ricardo, who do you have? You have some Hortonville Polar Bears over there.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple guys here from the Hortonville boys basketball team. This is Owen. Owen, your question for John.
What's an important lesson that kids learn from organized sports?
Well, the number one thing that I try to preach is don't dial yourself into one sport. Each and every sport has its own unique set of life lessons that you can learn. When I was in high school, I played football, and I loved it. I think football is the most unique team sport because it takes many teammates to be successful. Basketball, yeah, it takes teammates, but not quite as many. But basketball is fun too, different set of athletic skills that you need. But if you've only done team sports, try an individual sport. I did track and field when I got to high school, and I was amazed by what you learn about yourself doing an individual sport. The self-confidence, the type of workmanship that you got to put in, because you're not just a cog in the wheel, you are the entire wheel. So I think you can learn every life lesson that there is in this world by playing sports if you have the right coach and you have the right mindset and you have the right teammates around you.
All right, great stuff. Good question there, Owen. All right, let's switch spots. This is Riley, also from Hortonville Boys Basketball. Riley, come up a little closer, buddy. All right, Riley, your question for John.
If you could change anything about your career, what would you change and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd love to sit back and say I wouldn't change anything, because you really do learn. Like I said, there's life lessons. I learned a lot about myself when I blew out my knee after 2011. I blew out my knee in a playoff game against the Giants after we went 15-1. I had made my first All-Pro, my first Pro Bowl, and it was in Hawaii. And my wife and I said after I made the Pro Bowl, we're either going to the Super Bowl or Hawaii. It doesn't get any better than that. And then I blew out my knee in the playoff game and was not allowed to go, and I was devastated. I was devastated. And I'd love to sit here today and tell you if there was one thing I'd change, I'd change that so I could get to experience my first Pro Bowl with all the guys in Hawaii. But coming back from that injury, a 30-week injury, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what I could accomplish, what I could do, and I came back stronger in 2012 because of it.
All right, great stuff.
Sir.
Thank
Great
you
questions,
for that
great
question,
answers.
Owen Riley.
This is good stuff. We're going to take the time. This is like old times, John,
Isn't
right?
it
We're
fun?
having a good time,
Oh,
right?
gosh, it's flying by.
Well, you remember our stat packs.
Oh, yeah.
Our stat packs, and here's one for you, John. Despite the loss to the Eagles, The Packers still boast an NFL record 13 road playoff victories. How about that? The Ravens and Titans are next with 11 such wins. And here's a stat that everybody around here is going to be really excited about. The NFL draft kicks off April 24th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. How about that? Everybody's pumped for that. That'll be here before you know it. That's going to be a big, big deal. Maybe we'll do some draft shows here, Ricardo, right? We could get some special Clubhouse Live draft shows.
Wait, is that in my contract?
Have you done an off-season show before?
We've done some draft stuff
Have you?
before. It's been a while, but wouldn't mind maybe coming back here to the Fox Club. Not to put the Rattlers on the spot, but do a couple draft shows would be kind of fun. So, you know what we're going to do that's a lot of fun right now, though, Ricardo? We're doing trivia, right?
That's right, trivia. But we got a couple rules, so please pay attention. First off, we'll ask a question. If you think you know the answer, you got to raise your hand. Don't shout it out. And if you're correct, you win what, Brett?
Check out the first trivia question gets a vouchers to Timber Rattlers game right here in 2025 season. 4 of them. April or May home game in 2025 must be redeemed online. Also, a Timber Rattlers shirt. There we go.
That's sharp.
Very nice. And once you win,
Wear
you're
that
out
to
for
a
the rest of
wedding.
the show.
Yeah.
Sorry, live chatters. You got to be here to win.
All right, General, I want you to see who raises his or
I'm
her
watching.
hand first.
I'm using
All right.
peripheral.
The Packers are one of 5 NFL teams to qualify for the playoffs at least 5 times since the 2019 season. Name one of the other teams on that list. What do we got here? Nobody?
Right here, white shirt.
Right here, okay. The 49ers is incorrect. Now, I saw somebody over here.
Right here.
Nope. Okay.
If you got one,
Yep.
I got green
Yep.
shirt right here.
The Eagles is correct. Come on up. Yes. She gets the bell. I'll let you hand those tickets out. Yes.
And the shirt, don't forget.
That's the second trivia one.
Oh,
we have 2
okay.
trivia questions. Yep.
There you
Buffalo and Kansas City with 6, all 6 years.
Wow.
Philly, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay, 5 of the last 6 years. So good playoff success. All right. This is what I want to do, General. We're going to take a trip down memory lane here in this next segment, right? Now, we've done this with other Packers legends, with Jerry Kramer we've done it with, Leroy Butler, Don Mikowski, the Magic Man. We're going to show you a series of photos from your career. I want you to, and there's nothing bad, okay? Don't worry about that. I'm not going to surprise. I promise. But just get your memories, get your thoughts when you see those photos of yourself. So, Rosie, let's put up photo number 1. Let's see it. Look at a young John Kuhn with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look at you.
There's no beard popping through that chin strap or nothing. That's unbelievable.
It seems so strange to see your face in the black and gold instead of the green and gold. But what's a young John Kuhn thinking right there? Right, you're trying to make it in the NFL, right? So how did you do it? You went from Shippensburg, a Division II university, to a 13-year NFL career, but it all started with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what were you? How'd you do it? How'd you make it happen?
You know, I listened to every bit of advice that everybody had given me all the way through. Every coach, every aunt, every uncle, my mom especially, my wife with way too much advice, but I listened to that as well. And honestly, a lot of luck. It does. It takes a lot of luck. Every player is going to have a moment where they're going to have a little bit of luck. And it's going to be that moment that they say, that fortunate event that you got to take advantage of. You got to take advantage of your opportunity. Everybody gets them. You never know when it might come. For me, it was after my rookie year. I got cut during training camp, and I was waiting. No call. Just sitting at home. Told, stay in shape. You'll get that call. Okay, I'm waiting. It's hitting about end of October, early November, still no call. I signed a contract to go play arena football for the San Jose SaberCats. Pack my bags. They're in the car. The flight leaves 5 o'clock in the morning from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's a Monday night football game, Colts versus the Steelers. Steelers get their brakes beat off by the Colts. Bob Sanders is all over the place. And I get a phone call after the Monday night game. John, this is Kevin Colbert from the Steelers. We're going to need you for the practice squad because our running back, Noah Herron, was just selected off of our practice squad to go play for the Green Bay Packers on their active roster. Will you join our practice squad?
Wow.
I said, you're not going to believe us, Kevin, but my bags are already packed and sitting in the car, so I will see you in 3 hours. And I drove straight down the turnpike and made it to Pittsburgh. But it was the Green Bay Packers taking Noah Herron off of their practice squad that got me the opportunity back in the league to start practicing and honing in on my craft.
And then you become a Packer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's great stuff. How about photo number 2, Rosie? Let's see it. There is, look at that classic photo, right? John Kuhn in that iconic uniform at Lambeau in the snow. Man, what does it mean to be a Green Bay Packer? Look at that. That's a great photo.
You know, I was so thankful for that. That was the next time we played the Steelers. Now, started with the Steelers. You know, practice squad the first year, we won the Super Bowl. Second year, worked my way up to active roster. We go 8-8. We missed the playoffs. Third year, Tomlin comes in for Cowher. I get released. I come to Green Bay. I cannot wait to play the Steelers. Can't wait. 2009 was our first opportunity, my first opportunity. I just played 3 straight games with a broken hand, a club on my hand. Mike sits me down before the game. I know it's Pittsburgh, but we're going to sit you. We're going to rest you for the playoffs. We just clinched the playoffs. We're going to rest you for the playoffs. Heartbroken. We go, we play Pittsburgh. We beat them in the Super Bowl. I had like 4 or 5 goal line runs in that game, one of which we called when we were close to the goal line. Aaron audibled out of it and threw a touchdown to Greg Jennings. I'm not mad. So I was so thankful the third time I got to play against them, and they finally called one of those goal line plays, and I got to score a touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers and spike the football and have a good time. All in the snow. Yeah. At it, all in the snow. So it meant the world.
All comes together, right? Especially at Lambeau Field in the snow. How about photo number 3, Rosie? Let's keep it coming. Look at that. That's what it's all about. You have one of those, right? Yeah. Super Bowl ring. Super Bowl 45 when you beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, when you look at your ring at home, right? I mean, I'm sure every now and then you pull it out, you kind of gaze at it, and it's just got to be a ton of memories.
I got to get that thing resized. It doesn't fit anymore. The only finger, pinky, because I've jammed my fingers and broke them enough times since then, so it doesn't fit any finger but my 2 pinkies. I'll tell you a funny story about that ring. People forget when we won the Super Bowl, lockout, done. The day after the Super Bowl was the last time you were allowed to be with your team. 2 days after the Super Bowl, you weren't allowed. If you saw a coach in the grocery store, they had to report it to the league offices. There was nothing allowed to be done because we were locked out. We went months without talking to anybody. Charles Woodson designed that ring, I think, with Donald Driver and Mark Murphy. I think they were the 2. They were the only 2 to see that ring. And we had a night, we had a ring celebration, and it was at the end of summer. I mean, training camp was supposed to open in like a month or 2. And nobody knows what teams they're playing for the next year, anybody that's a free agent, because it's been locked out. We have no idea what's going on with this league. But we got together, and we were able to unveil that ring, and that was the only day we got to celebrate our championship truly, because most teams, they win a Super Bowl, and they go the whole off season getting to talk about being Super Bowl champions. We didn't. We got one night, and it was one hell of a party in Green Bay, opening those rings. And they did a good job, though. They made sure that the boxes stayed shut. You didn't open the box. And we had a whole highlight video in a package, and they drew it out really long. It was probably a half an hour or too long. It was somewhere around 2 hours, and then finally it was, all right, players, open your boxes. And the first time you open it, every ring gets bigger than the last, right?
Sure, yeah.
So now it doesn't look anything like the rings today. But at that time, that was the biggest thing any of us had ever seen, and it was amazing sitting there just sparkling and going crazy. So we had a great time that night.
Great stuff with the General. Rosie, keep it coming. What do we have next as we go down memory lane? There's Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson, right? 2 of the architects for your championship team. Now I want to ask you, you kind of talked about it in the last segment, do these guys get enough love and enough respect for what they accomplished in Green Bay?
It's tough, right? I think unfortunately, because of Ted's health issues, it didn't end with the celebration it should have, right? Unfortunately, that's the way life goes sometimes, and it's tough, and we see that in all of our families and all of our lives, and it was hard to see that with the person that meant the world to me. So that was tough. Mike, I think, Mike being let go before the end of the season, especially being the only Packers coach to have that happen, that just kind of resonates somewhere back there in people's, in the back of their brain. But I think, one of these days, or, probably even already, people look back at those years, you're talking about 2007 to about 2016 dominance. Absolute dominance, as good as anybody in the league. And it's only because of the New England Patriots that people look at what we accomplished during that time and aren't more excited about it.
Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Rosie, let's skip the next one, but let's go to the final one because I want to ask the general about this. Let's see. Yeah, there you are, a Lambeau leap, celebrating a touchdown with the great Packers fans. John, why is such a great connection between you and the fans, right? Did the fans loved you from the get-go, and you seem to love them back? Where did that connection all come from?
I do think Green Bay fans are incredibly knowledgeable of the game. They read every little snippet, whether by Wilde, by Schneidman, by Domofsky.
Yeah.
They watch every single one of these shows, and we got a lot of them in Green Bay. Yeah. We got a lot of these shows.
But this is the best one, right?
Yeah, this is the best one by far.
You.
It's the most fun.
Thank you.
I'm still looking for the trombone.
We're looking. We're working on it. We're working on it.
But I truly believe that fans, through the amount of time and effort they put into it, they get to understand the players in an intimate way, maybe that other fan bases don't get to. And I truly think fans felt my appreciation for being a part of the Packers. And they appreciated that in me. And the Lambeau leaps, the fact that I missed one only made fans like me even more. Let's be honest. Most fans can't do a Lambeau leap. So that one time I missed one, they said, see, I told you he's just like us. Yeah. He can't make it either.
Hey, you got your cleats stuck on the netting, right? I know that. How about everybody, when they see you in the supermarket, right, they all still say, cool, right? Let's hear it, everybody. Let's hear it one more time. Yes. I know you love it.
Oh, yeah.
You love that.
Oh, yeah. My girls love it, too, by the way. I mean, it's so... we were coming out of Best Buy one time, and just right, the doors open, take a step out the door, like right as I walked out the door with my oldest daughter, and it scared the living you-know-what out of me. What is going on? And I looked over, and I smiled, and he's just a man. He said, I just had to do it. I didn't want to do it in the store, but I just had to do it. And we get to the car, and my daughter said, Dad, that was so cool.
Nice.
And that made me happy. It
Very
really
nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. You know what? You have two daughters or one daughter? Two daughters. So is it going to be a requirement for their boyfriends when they come to meet you for the first time to say, cool?
Well, it would be Mr. Kuhn.
Mr. Kuhn. There we go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how it's going to go. So, hey, Ricardo, it's your turn. Social media question of the night. What do you have? It's a good one.
That's right. Hey, it's from Vicky Foster.
She's right here.
She's right here.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, well, she put this question through Facebook. She wants to know, would you consider, John, taking Larry McCarron's position in the future? I don't think she means just taking it by force. I think if when McCarron retires,
yes,
would you be the guy?
You know, I'll tell you, Larry McCarron is such a great mentor to me. He's been absolutely terrific with teaching me every little bit that you need to know, the nuances of going from an athlete to talking into a camera or talking into a microphone to actually holding the microphone for the guys talking into it. And it is a transition. And he's been so amazing through every step of the way. You make gaffes in everything that you do in life, whether it's sports, whether it's your career, whether it's doing the laundry. And there's nobody better than just to tell you, don't worry about that. That's just going to float away. People aren't going to remember you for that. That I'll be honest with you, if that opportunity would ever come, no bigger honor, and it's some big shoes to fill. So I'd be very proud to try and fill them.
Good question. Yeah. Great answer. Yep. For having her question selected, Vicky, you will win a signed photo each week. Well, we're not going to do it anymore. We have our extravaganza show, so each week next season we'll ask our guest or ask questions of our guest on Facebook. You can always look for it on facebook.com/Clubhouse Live. Trivia question number 2, Ricardo, quickly, you're going to read it, right?
Real quick, both you and John need to look out in the crowd then, see who raises their hand. Here we go.
Easy question.
Yes, only one road team has won so far on Wild Card Weekend. Who is that team?
Road team, right? This guy. Commanders is correct. Yes, you get the Timber Rattlers shirt. Come on up.
This looks like a prom shirt to me, right underneath that tuxedo. That's going to look so great.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But the Commanders, they took down Tampa Bay 23-20 on a game-ending field goal Sunday night. Otherwise, all the home teams have won so far, right? Texans, Ravens, Bills, and Eagles. The Rams host the Vikings, maybe the Rams being the home team in Glendale, Arizona, because of the fires out in L.A. Terrible situation out there. But we're rooting for the Rams tonight, right? We are rooting for the Rams, Vikings fan. There you are. All right. Hey, Rosie, we need some music because it is time for tonight's Clubhouse Live Challenge. I know, General, you are ready for this. This is sponsored by our friends at Munoz Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, right? Your Center for Dental Excellence, voted Reader's Choice Best Dentist, Best of the Bay in back-to-back years. Let Dr. Sebastian and his team of professionals help you achieve your dreams. Smile. General, we're going to play a game we call Six Pack, and it goes like this. It's a rapid-fire game in which you have 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
60 seconds to correctly answer 6 questions about a particular category.
Okay, what's the category?
If you do so, you win the game and prizes for tonight's contestant. He's sitting right in front of us. It's Bob right
All
there,
right,
ladies
what's up,
and gentlemen.
Bob? Let's go.
This is what you can win for Bob. We got these cool players, all-time great players cards. There's Brett Favre on the front.
Did you pull that? You pulled that out of your closet at home.
Yeah, I found something. Yeah, I'm digging deep right now. But they are courtesy of our friends at Shields right there. Well, how about this, though? This one is courtesy of you, a signed photo of the General.
Yeah.
Great picture of you in the snow against the Steelers. A Miller Lite Green Bay Packers cap, Bob, and John.
Snow's great.
A USA Today Network Wisconsin ice scraper.
Yes!
That's what you need.
This is the most popular prize of all, right?
Yeah.
It's freezing outside. You need to clean those windshields. Now, that's the pressure.
Okay.
Now, if you don't get this done, Bob will have to lovingly massage Ricardo's feet for an entire hour.
Hey, Brett, and that's with plenty of moisturizer. I won't have it any other way, Bob.
In between the toes, too, Bob. Okay, in between the toes. That's what you have to do. So, now Ricardo's going to keep track of the time. 60 seconds, 6 questions. Ricardo, you will not start the clock until I have completely asked the first question in its entirety. Now, the category, very easy. Packers trivia.
Okay.
It's just Packers stuff. You know
All
this stuff.
Packers stuff.
All Packers
That's
stuff.
over 100 years. That's a lot of history.
6 questions, 60 seconds. Are you ready? Who thinks the General is going to make it through tonight, right?
All right, let's do it.
Here we go. Which team did you clobber in the 2010 NFC Championship?
Bears.
Which team has won more games in the Packers-Bears series? Who's won more?
Packers.
Yes. Who has won more Super Bowls, the Packers or the Bears?
Packers.
Yes.
Time!
Let me read this entire question. Who caught the stunning 48-yard pass from Aaron Rodgers on 4th and 8 in the waning moments against the Bears in the final game of the 2013 regular season to give the Packers the NFC North title and keep the Bears and Ricardo from celebrating a postseason berth?
Randall Cobb.
Yes. Stop the clock, Ricardo. By the way, we have to give kudos. Remember John Kuhn's block on Julius Peppers? That set up that play. You were our co-host that season.
Yeah.
One of the legendary blocks in Packers history. That, and of course, the Ice Bowl block. They're right there, right? Okay, start the clock. Navy blue and orange or green and gold, which color scheme is clearly more fashionable?
Green and gold.
Last one. Finally, the Bears still what?
Suck!
Yes, he got it.
Boo!
Ricardo, did you like that game tonight?
I think there's 26 seconds left, so good job,
Did
John.
you enjoy the game, Ricardo? That was
No.
for you, right? That was
No.
for you. Hey, Bob, guess what? You're going home with the playing cards, the signed photo of John Kuhn, the hat, and the USA Today Network Wisconsin
Scraper.
Ice Scraper. How about Bob and John Kuhn tonight, folks?
Hey, Brett,
Yes.
I just heard from Cruiser that I think the Vikings are down 7-0
Oh,
already.
that's too bad. That's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah, I hope it's 56-0 by the end of the game. Hey, Ricardo, we got some special folks here. We have our high school team of the week, the Hortonville Polar Bears
Yes!
boys basketball
Stand
team.
up, guys.
Introduce us to the Polar Bears.
Yes. Listen, Brett, these Polar Bears are off to a hot start. They're 8-2 overall, 5-2, as we know, in the very competitive Fox Valley Association. They're currently tied for second in the FVA with Appleton North, Kaukauna, Neenah, and they trail first place Fond du Lac by just 1 game.
What
They're
a
on
race right now.
4-game win streak for the Polar Bears here, Brett. They're back at it tomorrow night when they host Appleton West. Tip-off scheduled for 7:30 on that game. Brett, they're coming off a big win over Oshkosh North on Friday. 91-86 win over the Spartans there. Where's Matt Hintz? You got to stand up too, Coach.
Yes, Coach. Come on, Coach.
Yes.
There he is.
Coach Matt Hintz. Hey,
There he is.
Brett, he's doing a heck of a job. You know, that's a very competitive league. Hortonville's right up there. It's going to go down to the last week, isn't it, Coach, for that FEA title? So we appreciate you. Again, once again, this is a rising team in Division I right here. The Hortonville Polar Bears boys basketball team.
How about the Polar Bears? 8-2 overall, 5-2 in the FBA. Thank you for being here, guys. We've streamed one of their games. I think we're going to see them probably a couple more times, right?
A couple more times.
But, yeah, a lot of talent on this Polar Bears team. We were very impressed when we saw them earlier in the season. So, John Kuhn, how about the Polar Bears? I can see you shoving some guys around, right?
I was really good at getting rebounds and fouls.
Yeah.
Playing high school basketball. Oh, yeah.
The
really
enforcer, right? Yeah, that was
it's
you.
just, play a little bit of defense, maybe give a little nudge set the tone.
Hey, if the ref's not going to call it,
well, no, they called it every time.
You did.
Like even when it shouldn't have been called, they called it.
You fouled out every game you played, right? But a few more things, John. We're going to wrap up. The hour goes by fast, doesn't it, on Clubhouse Live? It's good to have John Kuhn back, isn't it?
Yeah, this was fun.
We got to do this.
This was fun.
I wanted to ask you, as far as positions of need for the Packers, why not the fullback? Huh? Bring the fullback back.
I will say,
some good ones out
Chris
there.
Brooks, and he just ironically wears number 30.
He does.
Is a jack of all trades. I mean, I would say he's a little bit better runner than I was, and I would say I was a little bit better blocker than he is now. But hey, he's still a work in progress, and he's getting better. And they got him doing a whole heck of a lot of stuff from that backfield. Between he and Tucker Kraft and his ability to do all kinds of different things, man, this run game is in good shape right now. This run game's in as good a hands as it's been since 2003 when Amon was back here going for 1,800. So I'm very excited for where this run game could go, and if we can start complementing that, and this offense is really going to take off.
Good to see the fullback position, though. It's kind of a renaissance, right? You got Ricardo for the
Yeah,
Ravens.
they brought it back to
Cam.
the AP All-Pro team. So, I mean, somebody somewhere said, all right, well, we tried to get rid of it. It didn't work. They're not going to let us do it, so we might as well start honoring them again.
Absolutely. Alec Ingold, the Bayport kid.
Oh, I love it. You know what, though? You start looking around the league, and you start looking at those guys that we talk about that are fullbacks, and Alec Ingold's from Bayport. I remember when he was a quarterback playing here and going to watch a couple of his games in high school. But the thing I'm most proud of is I look at these guys that play the fullback position. Take notice of how many of them wear that little C on their chest, little captain's patch. Alec Ingold is one. Juszczyk is one. C.J. Ham in Minnesota. You don't like them, but you got to respect it.
Yeah, he's
fullback
good.
wearing the C position or wearing the C patch. That's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, keep the fullback in the game of football. Last but not least, John, who is your Super Bowl pick? How do you see this all playing out here in the playoffs? Is it just going to be Detroit, Kansas City, and that's it?
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I honestly think it's going to be that, and I think it for a couple of reasons. Number one, the AFC had their chance during the regular season. They, blocked field goal here, dropped snap there. Teams had an opportunity to knock Kansas City down a peg. They started playing good football at the end of the year, especially Patrick Mahomes, not betting against him in Arrowhead. And how can you watch what the Lions did that last week of the regular season against the Vikings and not say whoever they have playing for them, because they have a lot of guys injured, it doesn't matter. That team is on an absolute mission.
Yeah, they look like
I think
a
those
machine.
two are going to match up in the Super Bowl, and I think we're in for a show.
That'll be a good one, right? That will be a good
Oh,
Super
Brett,
Bowl.
you're
So,
forgetting one more thing.
What?
The college football championship game, Notre Dame
And Ohio State.
What do you think?
Well,
Kuhn?
I love the fact that you start looking around. We got this college football playoff going on. Now you got some teams from the north really making some noise, right?
Yeah.
You got Big Ten team, you got Notre Dame. I think college football loves to see these two programs in a college football playoff championship with a chance to win it. I think people are they're growing a little bit tired of the SEC dominating this year. They didn't. So I think parity is back in college football. I think that's a good thing, even though we need to get the transfer portal under control.
Yeah, there's a little Wild West going on in college athletics right now, but two storied programs in the national championship. That'll be fun. So how about the General tonight, bringing it as he always does. Always. Brings back great memories of our 2 seasons together. I can't believe it's been 11 years now since you were on a 2014 season, so I guess 10 years.
10 years, yeah, 10 full years.
Unbelievable.
This is a 10-year anniversary.
It is.
Did you not know?
How did I not know? What's the matter?
I've been waiting for the
Where's
gift the whole
somebody
night.
get a
Nothing's under
surprise
the
for this
table.
guy
What's
already,
going on
right?
here?
Somebody get a surprise. Hey, Ricardo, no, we're not going to go up north. Obviously, no Packers game. We'll give our Super Bowl picks next week during the Extravaganza show. Packers News app. How does that work, Ricardo?
With exclusive commentary, insider analysis, and award-winning photos and videos from USA Today Network's Wisconsin's Packers coverage team, Brett and John, that Packers News app, your one-stop shop for complete coverage of the Green Bay Packers, unlimited digital access to the Packers News app, and PackersNews.com can be yours for as low as 99 cents for that first month. Please subscribe today.
Right. Thanks to our presenting sponsors. We have Cellcom and Local IQ, also our segment sponsor, Munoz Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, and our supporting sponsors and friends. We have Shields, Escort Limousine Service, Cooney's Embroidery and Sportswear, Mayfield Sports Marketing, Mike Thiel and Eric Lives here, Miller Lite, and as always, the great folks here with the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers and the Fox Club. By the way, John, do you see the scoreboard out there with your name on it? You see
Pretty
that?
cool. That's
Check
pretty
that
cool.
out.
Yeah.
That's just the Fox Club is where you got to be.
Mama,
So-
I made it. Oh, yeah.
You have made it right now. So, hey, again, next week, our extravaganza show. And I'm going to give you the final word. What do you have to say to all these great Packers fans that decided to brave the frigid cold and hang out
Man,
with
we
us
went
tonight?
down memory lane tonight. We had a darn good time. We talked a lot about a lot of different things going on in sports, but the most important thing, I think, were those couple questions we took from those kids right over there,
Yeah.
talking about the impact that sports makes on every single one of our lives. So let's get out and support this 8-2 Hortonville team as they try and win a championship. Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in the meantime, we'll have a great off season. We'll enjoy the draft. And all the players always say the GPG, right? You got to say that too, the Go Pack Go. You got to tell these guys that. That's up to you.
Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da. Go, Pack, go.
There you go for the General, for Ricardo, and the rest of the Clubhouse Live crew. I'm Brett Christopherson saying so long. Be back here next Monday night, our season-ending prize giveaway extravaganza show right here at the Fox Club, 6:30 p.m. That's when it starts. In the meantime, everybody, let's hear the Mean Gene cheer.